Hey guys, what's going on? Connor here. Today I wanted to talk about one of the things that I really wish that somebody would have sat me down and explained to me when I first gotten out of college and was out into the real world on my own, starting up my career, and that is how to budget your money. So, in a lot of situations, you're going from working a part-time job or working at an internship or something like that, where you're making, say, $10 to $15 an hour, and then you get to this situation where you're making a lot more money or a lot more money than what you're used to, and a part of coming into that world and setting off on your own is figuring out how you're actually going to spend that money, or at least having some sort of methodology and mindset to what you're going to do as far as saving, retirement, things like that, and even outside of that, what you're going to be spending your money on, or what you should be spending your money on. I would like to talk about the methodology that I use, which is a 50-30-20 split, which I'll go into a little bit more detail about, which is very simple. But I find that people normally do one of two things once they get into the working world. They'll go one of two ways. One is they start making a little bit bigger check, and because they're not used to having that larger check, they run out and they spend a good portion of it, a good huge big chunk of it, which is understandable, because when you're a broke college kid, or somebody who's say waiting tables or doing something that's maybe part-time, that's unskilled, you don't have a lot of money. When you finally come upon it, you feel like you have some sort of freedom to actually go buy some adult things. So there's that direction, and then there's the other direction, where there's some people that are afraid to actually spend their money. They're afraid to get into a situation where they're going to need money, or be in an emergency. Say, for example, if a car breaks down, a furnace goes out, or something like that, and not having it, they don't spend any money whatsoever, and then they just start accumulating all kinds of cash in their checking account, and they don't do anything with it, which I would say is not as bad as going out and spending a whole bunch of money. It's good because you have some cash reserves, but you should have some sort of methodology for saving as well in that type of situation. So the methodology that I've found that has worked very well for myself, and for a lot of other people, and it can give you kind of a good framework for how you can budget your money, and base, say, for example, how much you can afford for a home, or how much you can afford for a car or some other type of larger purchase, is using a 50-30-20, or a 50-25-25, or a 50-30-20, any type of those splits of budgeting. And what that is you're spending, those are just percentage splits, so you're spending 50% of your income on needs, 30% on wants, and then the other 20% is saving. So your needs category is typically something like your rent, your mortgage, your water, electricity, anything that you absolutely need, say gas, your car payment, things like that. Wants are typically things that are associated with lifestyle, such as going out and eating, or the money that you spend on video games or consumer electronics, your cell phone bill, things like that. And then your savings could include, say, you're saving up for some, so you have a cash reserve. You're trying to put away a rainy day fund, so that when you have some type of emergency come up, you can flex and spend, and you have a little bit of a cushion there. Or say it's your HSA, or health savings account, or your retirement, anything that's bracketed in that. So all of these items are very subjective. Say, for example, one person, I typically, in my budget, I put down the gym as something that is in my wants category or my lifestyle category. Somebody else might think that that's a necessity, since you're working on your health or something like that. It's perfectly fine. The most important thing is that you have some sort of methodology or framework that you're working off of to how you're going to spend your money. Um, so a good way to do that is also, say for example, say you are trying to figure out how much you can spend on housing, and for example, one of the rules of thumb there is that you shouldn't be spending more than 30% of your gross income level, or a third of your income on housing. So from there you can kind of base, okay, this is what I want my housing to fit into, say 30% of my 50% category, and then what other things can I afford within there. So I'll go into a little bit more detail when I start doing an example of the budget that I've set forth for myself. But it's a very good methodology I have found to figuring out how you're going to be spending your money and figuring out what you can afford. So I hope this helps, and I hope that the examples that I have here going forward are very helpful. See you guys.